Out to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Get inspired to take your next vacation close to home and experience Miami Beach. A paradise getaway only a drive away. Take in 7 miles of beautiful beach. Walk historic South Beach. Take in the art and culture. Stroll famous Lincoln Road and taste the international cuisine found in the city that offers a faraway feeling without the flight. Visit Miami Beach, a paradise getaway only a drive away. Learn more at Experience Miami Beach on Facebook and Instagram.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
Welcome back to the last half hour of Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. On a somber Remembrance Day, it is the day that Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, a day that will live in infamy. About 10 minutes till 1 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, or about 10 minutes till 8 Hawaiian time, the Empire of Japan, with hundreds of aircraft coming from aircraft carriers just off the coast of Honolulu, Hawaii, made a dastardly sneak attack as the sailors were getting up, starting their day, going about their church, their business, going to church and getting showers, getting ready to start their day on a lazy, beautiful, sun high in the sky Sunday in December of 1941. Joe Martone, a guy who was in the Navy. Joe, that's a day, if you're in the Navy, it's the day that stands out the most in just a horrible, horrible day for the history of the Navy.
I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but during boot camp, we watched the movie Tora, Tora, Tora.
The best movie about the Pearl Harbor bombings that there is.
Tora. And I had never seen the movie before.
Historically accurate.
Well, it was fairly new back then, 1971, when I went in. And it was amazing what they did and how they did. And then, of course, all these years since, I've studied the movie, listened to how they produced the movie, and how they got all the facts correct back then. And and the facts keep coming more and more. Like President Roosevelt, he was very somber about it, and there was like a 6-hour lapse by the time after the bombing until he got more and more and more of the information.
Well, the Japanese were in the White House negotiating with presidential aides at 1 in the afternoon when the bombing was taking place in Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. They were negotiating with the Japanese in the White House.
Yeah. Well, they knew about it. People knew about it. The radar. Well, they didn't have radar then. It was sonar back then, and they picked up something. They knew they were coming, but I guess people didn't believe that they would do such horrible things, and
it was.
But they say rumor has it they knew something because
everybody knew there was an impending invasion coming or an impending attack coming. They just didn't know when it was going to be, what exact day it would be.
It was amazing. There was no flat tops, otherwise known as aircraft carriers.
Yeah, they were all out on maneuvers, not in the bay, harbor. In the harbor.
Now, I've had the chance to go see Pearl Harbor at the memorial over the Arizona.
It gave me chills.
Yeah, if it doesn't take your breath away, you're not human. or you're not an American.
You're standing on top of thousands of dead people.
1,700.
Well, the actual numbers now, 2,403 according to the Pearl Harbor Visitors Bureau, including 2,008 Navy personnel.
On the Arizona, I'm just talking about
the Arizona. Yeah, I'm talking overall. There was 2,008 Navy personnel killed, 109 Marines, 218 Army service members, 68 civilians. People forget there were civilians killed.
That was friendly fire, a lot of them.
Of the dead, 1,177 were from the USS Arizona.
1177?
1177, the wreckage of which now serves.
The number, sorry.
Yeah, it serves now as the main memorial to the incident. 55 Japanese soldiers were also killed. Total number of wounded, 1,143, including 710 Navy, 69 Marines, 365 Army, 103 civilians. This all according to the Pearl Harbor Visitors Bureau. So
yeah, and the Arizona is still commissioned. Still commissioned ship.
Yeah, it's a commissioned ship.
They never decommissioned it. If you go to the memorial, you've been there apparently.
I have.
On the walls inside that bone-shaped memorial, whatever you want to call it, that is over the Arizona, on the walls in gold are the men that were are still on. Some of them are still in the Arizona.
Right.
And
it is their tombed encampment forever.
Tombed encampment. And to this day, as far as I know, the Arizona still bleeds. One drop of oil every once in a while.
Oh yeah, you'll see oil come up to the surface.
One drop, not a lot, just beep.
Right.
Just say, hey, yeah, don't forget me.
We're still here.
And they have a flag there. They put the flag.
Nebraska, the Missouri, they were all in. There was 8 battleships that got destroyed during that raid.
The torpedoes hit it and they capsized and what have you.
Battleships, destroyers, everybody except the aircraft carriers were in harbor because we weren't at war. Hitler said, "What have you done, Japan? You've woken the sleeping giant."
You poked the bear.
Right. That's what Japan did. They poked the bear.
They poked the bear. They were the men that were trapped in the ship that had capsized, that have survived. They were taking bets whether they were going to drown because it was going to go deeper,
right,
or they were going to run out of air first. That's how their mind went, And there are pictures of the people, the sailors that survived. That survived the attack. But there's pictures of them with the torches trying to cut holes in the bottom of the ship, which is now the top of the ship.
Right.
Trying to cut holes in it, to let the men out.
Well, you may wonder how many survivors there are. The Pearl Harbor Visitor Bureau said it's hard to know the exact number of survivors still, but they do know the exact number of survivors on the Arizona. There were 3. Donald Stratton, a sailor on the Arizona who was burned during the attack. He died in February of this year. That's per Stars and Stripes.
Yeah.
So there are now only 2 living survivors that were on the USS
So
Arizona.
only 3 out of the whole ship survived?
No. More than that survived, but only 2 of them are alive in 2020.
How old are they now?
Got to be over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Got to be over 100 years old. But, I mean, it's one of those moments in history. I think the only other, people say different things, but I think the only other moment in U.S. history that could even be compared to it, but it was civilians that lost their lives.
9/11.
Was 9/11.
Yeah. Well, until you're, I don't want to be condescending, but until you are actually in the military, can you see the size, the depth, the enormous effort that goes into protecting the United States of America? Everybody, it's easy to hold up pictures and chants because I was Vietnam. Everybody hated the war in Vietnam, and the military is bad. And I'm sorry, but without it, we'd be on the map.
Yeah, we would not be we'd not be able to exercise the freedoms we have.
And now these idiots, and that's all I'm going to call them straight up. These idiots say, "Oh, you do not have the right to bear arms." No, we do have the right to bear arms. I'm sorry. That's what keeps people from invading us.
And if you don't like that I'm bearing arms, my bare arm will wrap around your throat.
Ooh, that's
How about
a different
that?
one.
How about that?
Yeah, a lot of say if you pull the gun out of my dead
Cold
hand.
dead hand.
Yeah.
Hi, caller. Who's this?
Hi, this is Sonny, Joe, and Tom. One of the big things was the Oklahoma, battleship Oklahoma that turned over, capsized.
Yeah, capsized the Oklahoma.
They actually cut, like Joe said, cut holes in the bottom of the hull, which, was quite astounding. And I remember reading the several stories from that about where the guys were trapped inside. Some of them could swim pretty good, and they were near what would be the upper deck. So they actually went underwater and swam their way out through the passageways. But a lot of them died doing that also.
Oh, trying, attempting to, yeah.
That was going towards the bottom, which was then up, and waiting for somebody to cut them out.
No,
They did cut the air holes and stuff into the hull, but the ship being compartmented as it was, a lot of things were really involved in. There's an actual book about it. It's called Escape from the Oklahoma. And
It's actually a very good read. I've read that book.
They were actually, I think, managed to salvage that ship. I know they salvaged a couple of other battleships, but and used them in the Pacific Theater.
Yeah, thanks for
It was like a little bit of sweet revenge when they went over there and started pounding Saipan and Okinawa and stuff.
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks for the call, Sonny. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's right. A lot of those ships, of the 8 battleships, I think 5 of them were repaired and sent back out to battle and went and got
Kicked butt.
They were like, you thought you were going to destroy us? And what it did, people forget that America didn't want to be in the war, didn't want to be involved with it.
Not until after that.
Roosevelt wanted to be involved with it, but the American public had no. World War I was not that far away. We were going through a depression.
Yep.
People had much bigger things on their mind than worrying about this guy in Germany who didn't look like he was that big of a threat to the United States, and the Empire of Japan, who they were taking up islands in the Pacific, big deal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
they bombed Pearl Harbor, and people all of a sudden then had a different take.
Well, you have a different day, and you got to remember the men and women, and because there was nurses there on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And you see it firsthand. The men and women, they go into a completely different gear when something happens. I mean, it is like the emotion is up there, the adrenaline is up there, but all the training, everything goes, whoa.
Yeah, because this is no longer a drill.
Yeah, and it's amazing what the human spirit can do. We have a phone call.
Hi, caller. Who's this?
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Let me see. There's all kind of controversy about the code being broken. There were 3 codes being used by the Japanese at the time of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the diplomatic code was the one that got broken. And nowhere in the 13-part message did it mention Pearl Harbor. In fact, most of the generals thought that the attack was going to come to the Philippines because it didn't mention any specific target, and nobody thought that the Japanese would run the North Atlantic in December. That would have been crazy. And it was.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Thanks for the call.
Thank you so much. Oh, yeah.
He does. There was no specifics, and the Philippines would have been the natural place because the Philippines were so close to Japan. That's why it was really a surprise when it happened at Pearl Harbor. But it happened at Pearl Harbor because that's where the Pacific Fleet was.
Yeah.
And they figured they disabled the Pacific Fleet. The Pacific was in theirs for the taking. Hi, caller. Who's this? You there, caller?
Hello.
There's Hugh.
Good,
Hi, this is Hugh calling.
good morning.
Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning. See, I had the privilege of visiting Pearl Harbor Memorial a few years back, and the one thing I remember, it was an outstanding visit to begin with, but the one thing I remember was, like Joe pointed out, was watching those little oil bubbles come up from the ship like it was still breathing down there, and it's something that I'll never forget, and it was just quite an occasion. If you're ever in Hawaii, it's a must. In fact, well, it was the main reason that we went there, was to see that. I always wanted to do it, to see the Pearl Harbor Memorial. And I wanted to mention too, real quick, that you should be having your flag out here today, and the correct for the flag showing is it's at half staff all day. So if you have a flag up there, make sure it's at half staff.
Excellent.
Thanks for the call, Hugh. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Yeah, the Pearl Harbor, the whole thing is, there's no fee to go see it. It's all free.
Nope.
It's all free. So if you're ever out there, you can't. And at home, let's see, Google Earth. First of all, don't Google in Pearl Harbor, because it zooms right in. Just put Hawaiian Islands, and then you try to find Pearl Harbor. It takes forever to find that little cove and it's like, but these planes found it.
It takes the average person. You're looking at me like you'll find it. I could go right to Pearl Harbor, but I know where it's located in Hawaii. So,
well, yeah,
I know. But you're right. We're not talking about, we're talking about something about the size of Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. The ships were in something maybe a little smaller than Tampa Bay.
But the thing is, to zoom down from the satellite, and you zoom down slowly into that area, and then to see the Arizona from up above.
And you can see it from up above.
Oh, yes.
You can clearly see it in the water and everything. Because the harbor was not that deep. People say Tampa Bay is deep. No, it's not. That's why a storm in Tampa Bay is so bad, because it's more shallow.
It scoops it right out.
So the water moves a lot fiercer. Yeah. Pearl Harbor's not a deep harbor. It was deep enough for these ships to run in.
But that's it.
But that was it.
It was. I don't know if they dredged it or not, or whatever. I don't know way back when, but
it was. But it did waken a sleeping giant. At 18 months later.
Yeah.
The U.S. was producing one of the best fighter planes, producing the best tanks. The M16 was being mass produced, because all the GM, Ford, and Dodge
they flipped.
And quit making cars. And the American public, the way that they went into rationing and rubber and sugar and nylon and stuff, women giving their stockings up so that nylon can be used. And the metal that people stopped using.
Metal was like unbelievable. Oh, yeah. That's why a lot of cars are gone.
Right.
Because it's running, but here, take it.
That's why you don't see a lot of 41s, 40s, 39s, 38s, because they were like, here you go. Take them.
41 and on, yeah.
Right. Take them. So it's just one of those days where.
No. Go ahead.
It was an empire that was trying to make a name for itself.
Oh, it did, didn't it?
And it wanted to be the bully on the block without realizing the real bully on the block was trying to stay out of it until they poked him.
Yeah, sure. Until they poked the bear.
Yeah. And then.
They poked the bear.
They built the Pentagon after December 7th, 1941, there was no centralized War Department.
Oh, the Pentagon?
Right.
Yeah.
They started building the Pentagon in 1942 and built that entire building, the largest office complex in the world, in 18 months. Done.
Yeah. And we still don't know how many floors there's there.
Right. And it built it so good, compartmentalized it so well, that even when the terrorists tried to attack it September 1 of 2001, they only destroyed about a 200-foot section of the building because of how the building's designed.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, we don't know how many floors there are.
No, you have no idea.
How deep it goes.
My ex-father-in-law was a brigadier general assigned to the Pentagon. So I got to take a tour of the Pentagon.
Oh, did you really?
And I got to take a tour a brigadier general can give you of the Pentagon. And I go, so have we seen everything? He goes, I haven't seen everything. I don't know everything that's here. I go, so there might be more floors than the 5 you showed us. He goes, I know that there's one other floor you can't have access to.
That's right, yeah.
But after that, I have no idea what's here because I can't have access to it.
Yeah, there's certain things, sure.
So, but it's great as you go down each hallway, because it's a Pentagon. Yeah. And you go, the U.S. Navy's there, and the Marine Corps is there, and the Army's there, and the Coast Guard's there, and the Air Force is there. It's just, and now the subway train runs right. They got a subway station right there, so you get off the subway, walk right into the Pentagon.
Oh yeah, it's got their own shopping center. And
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Now getting back to the Pearl Harbor thing, I do not know if it was World War I or World War II, but Ford started making the Jeeps and everything. Or
World War II.
World War II.
Yep.
But their plant was right on the Mississippi, just outside of New Orleans. And I didn't realize it was that close over there. Wow, it's defunct now, but
Right.
it was a big, gigantic plant. And
They flipped and started producing Jeeps right by the New Orleans,
Bay.
right by the mouth of the Mississippi, so they
Yeah.
could get those Jeeps out quickly through the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It was amazing the turnaround from a country who was downsizing their war effort, giving away old boats and everything to England to help England in the war effort, but not replacing those when they gave them to England.
Yeah. Now they didn't.
And then all of a sudden they said,
boom.
"Really? That's how you want to do it?" And the amazing outpouring of support for the American people, and the way this is something you'll never see today. If we went to war, if somebody did this and we went to a world war again, not a police action, not the war on terror, but an actual where you knew the enemy, like Germany, Japan, an actual war, drafted you into a war and everything. Ted Williams gave up 3 years of his baseball career in his prime to go to war. Jimmy Stewart, the actor, went to war. There were celebrities left and right, baseball
how
players.
about Mr. Rogers?
Captain Kangaroo was in World War II. Okay, Lee Marvin, the actor, was in. You would
He was
never,
a Marine, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would never see people do that. The celebrities and baseball stars and football stars. Pat Tillman did it with the Arizona Cardinals. He went and got killed actually over in Afghanistan. But this was. I mean, there were all kind of people that went to the war effort. John Wayne, he had a medical
tried.
issue. He tried.
Yeah.
So he did a bunch of USO stuff and everything to dedicate to the war. I don't think the celebrities of today
No.
would give a crap.
No. And were they athletes?
No.
So they wear a different kind of uniform.
Yeah. So,
I don't call that a uniform, though. I call that a costume.
well, I just knew that this was a very, the remembrance of this day is very important to the United States Navy. Should be important to every American.
It is.
And it's 79 years, and the farther away it gets, the less people talk about it because, Pearl Harbor, that's from way back in the history book days, But it's a day we must always remember.
Yeah,
like the president said, it was a day that will forever live in infamy.
Yeah.
And to the Navy, the worst tragedy in the history of the United States Navy. A storied history of the United States Navy. But when you lose, right at 4,000 injured or dead in one morning attack in Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah. And we've lost ships during battles,
Right.
at sea, what have you.
But this was sitting ducks. These boats were sitting ducks. For all intents
the
and
men were
purposes.
doing nothing to hurt anybody. They were
No.
and they just came in and
sad day.
and
for
then-
the U.S. Navy.
And then President Roosevelt did something that made a boo-boo, I think, but he took all the Japanese civilians in the United States.
Put them into internment camps.
Internment.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, excuse me? Yeah. Well, because they're Japanese. So what? I'm Italian. Doesn't mean I'm with the mafia. So
By the way, wasn't Italy part of the Axis powers?
I don't recall.
Italy, Germany, and Japan were the Axis powers. They didn't go around locking up a lot of Italians. Matter of fact, they went to Lucky Luciano and he got him to help with the war effort because he knew some influential people in Sicily, so he was able to work back channels and actually find out about where Italian armies would be and everything. So they used Italian Americans to help with the war effort. So
that was a misstep.
the internment camps were a misstep, without a doubt.
Without a misstep.
Sorry,
But-
caller, we're up against the break, so we're not going to be able to take your call, but thanks for calling tomorrow. Tell us what you wanted. We'll give you a chance tomorrow. But
Tomorrow's another day.
after all, tomorrow.
You did good today,
is
man.
another day.
It was a packed show this morning.
It was.
I know.
Sonda Eunice doing a great job.
Sonda is doing a good job. She's bringing new faces in here that the public I don't think heard of.
People. Some of the people she's bringing in here didn't know about WOC. I find it hard to believe people don't know about WOC.
Yeah, no. Everybody's heard of WOCA in Ocala. It took us 10 years to get there.
WOCA,
because
the source.
They were calling us WOCA way back then. I'm going,
WOCA.
WOCA. Yeah. So it was like, no.
Somebody said this morning, I see you're back on your radio station. I said, it's not my radio station. It's the Bartones.
There you go. Yeah. So,
okay, you're
Bob Halk out there.
You're 11 o'clock's here. You need to
by
go.
11 o'clock. Time for me to do some show.
You need to go.
Do recording for
Thanks
Bob
for coming
Wines.
in and giving us a perspective, though, from a Navy man. I appreciate it.
No, it's a privilege, I think, to talk about it, and unfortunately, it's there to talk about.
Yeah, 79 years ago this morning. Well, actually, about 10 till 1 Eastern time.
Yeah.
10 till 8 Honolulu time. 5-hour difference.
Yeah.
People don't realize it's 5-hour difference.
But if like you said, he had a good point. If you have a flag, put it half mast.
Half mast.
Half mast, please.
Thanks, Joe.
Please. Thank you, Tom.
Tomorrow, like the man said, tomorrow is another day. We'll be right back here at 8 o'clock with Ocala Talks. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. Hey, come out and do some shopping. The mall's open. Christmas season is upon us. So come out and look around and maybe do some of your Christmas shopping here at the Paddock Mall. Wave hi to us if we're in the window. We'll see you tomorrow.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.